Hello everybody, it's Scott here for another wonderful Minecraft episode. Today we're going to be doing a little mod spotlight on refined storage. And if you're wondering what refined storage is, it's in the name. Storage, and it's slightly more refined. So if you've ever been in standard Minecraft, you've probably thought, well, I need more storage space. A good example of this would be if we actually go back to the temporary base as an example. It's taking its time, a bit laggy there. It's probably because of the rain, I have to say, actually. Let's go back to the original temporary base that we all had when we first started. Actually, let's have a wander down here. As you see, it's a beautiful thing, and stacks upon stacks of chests. Oh, I need a few more chests for this, or I'm running out of space because of I've got too much cobblestone. Now, what a refined storage does is it essentially compresses everything into a few blocks. So you might have a whole 1,000 cobblestone. Oh, guess what? You just need a disk drive and some refined storage blocks, and it's going to be stored without much of an issue. So what we'll do now, we'll go back over here. Lag, right. So here are some of the items you're going to need. Main resources, so you're going to need a lot of iron, some slime balls. They can be any coloured slime balls. Gold, diamonds, these are mainly used for your disk drives and your redstone. Nether quartz, so you need a lot of stuff from the nether, and some string. And obviously the reason why you need them is because you can have some manufactured products like obviously quartz enriched iron, 3 bits of iron for 1 bit of quartz, and then some processing binding with obviously 2 bits of string and a slime ball. And then obviously finally you're going to need some silicon, which is furnace, as you can see, with some nether quartz. A lot of stuff, right? So the best thing to start off with will be your controller, because like anything, like computers and all that, they've got like a CPU, a controller, central processing unit, or anything has chips in it, or something that will control everything. So what you're going to need for that, for a controller, you're going to need some quartz enriched iron, advanced processor, machine casing, a lot of silicon, and quartz enriched. So I'm not going to show you how to build that at the moment. We're just going to actually get it built. As you can see, it's already here, but it's going to need some energy or RF. As you see, it's already got a full buffer at the moment, 128,000. But the best way to have power is obviously putting an energy cell and having it exports into it. Obviously, I showed you guys in a previous episode how to generate power from steam dynamos or some magmatic dynamos. So now you've got that, you're going to have a controller, and obviously we've already created a disk drive and some cables. Now the more items you have in your network, the more energy it's going to take per tick. At the moment, obviously cables and disk drives, they don't really take anything, you see. So the purpose of a disk drive is essentially you're going to literally have disks. So much like, say, with your computer has hard drives, these are going to have essentially disk drives, and it's got 8 slots there, you see. And those disk drives are where you're going to basically store all your items that you ever collect, right? So I've got a nice little display here of all the different size ones. So you've got your 1K storage, your 4K storage, and then 16 and then 64. Now, as you can see, so with the smaller one, the 1K, you just need some silicon, quartz enriched iron, some redstone and glass. Obviously, the more you go up, the more you'll need essentially some more of the same. So 1K, you'll need 3 1Ks for the 4K, as well as a bunch of other items like basic processors, quartz enriched iron, and then the same with the other higher sets. So if you want a 16K storage part, you're going to need lots of 4K storage, and then some improved processors, right? Same with 64-bit, or 64K even, to keep saying bits. 3 16Ks, and then some advanced processors. Obviously with these, once you have that, you'll need a storage casing, which will then go with that, and then you'll put in here. So what we can do then, and it's the joys of being so far ahead, what we'll do is we'll create a couple of 1K storage then. Looks like we're going to need some silicone, which is great. So let's have a look. Craftables, let's just do a stack of that. Now I think in a future episode what I'll do is I'll show another extra side of refined storage where you can basically autocraft things, and this is exactly what I'm doing at the moment. But there's a lot to get through with refined storage, and I think it would be best essentially just to start on the simple items, which will get you started, and then obviously we'll go through on another episode how to autocraft things. And it's a very, very exciting end game set of items, I have to say. Okay, so right, let us create a couple of 1K storage. And okay, oh look, we've already got one. What we'll do is we'll cut a couple, we'll create a couple. And then where are the old storage cases or storage housing? No. Let's just make that way. So you'll need 3 bits of redstone, 2 bits of glass, and 3 quartz enriched iron. Let's make a couple of them. Let's see if those other 1K storage are done. No, that's a 2. There you go, both of them are done. So what we can then do, we should be able to just do that. See? Bump. 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 Nice and easy. So now, if you right click on disk drives, you'll see that obviously there's 8 slots. And if we put them in there, you'll see obviously they've actually nicely filled in. If it's green, you know, it's pretty much full. I think if it's red, it's full. And you can see it's got 3K there. This is just a little display, a little what would be the correct term? A bar, as it were. So once the more stuff you have in here, the further it will go up in terms of percentage full. So what we'll do then, we'll grab some items. Let's get some cobblestone because we've got plenty of that. A bit of sand, some diamonds, a bit of copper, lapis. Right. Oh, God, I'm being a bit silly. Right. Well, no, we will actually need a grid. So what we'll need is advanced processor and what's this? No. Oh. God, why am I'm not fit today. Okay, so a grid will need construction core, destruction core, 2 improved processors, machine casing, and some glass. So as I said, before, this mod is quite end game, but is a very, very powerful mod which will help you immensely. So with a construction core, we need a bit of glowstone and a basic processor. So raw basic processor, iron ingot, processor binding, silicon, and redstone. Obviously, like we went through some of the items here, this is why we need a lot of these items to get going. Right. And then let's see, what was the other item? A grid, raw improved processor, bit of gold, bit of redstone, silicon, and process binding. So essentially, you always need redstone, silicon, process binding, and it's usually the top right item, which is always going to be slightly different, like gold. I just saw a glowstone, or maybe diamonds as well, I think, for the advanced processors, and the destruction one, basic process for nether quartz. You see, so what we can do, because let's see what we're short on. 2 improved processors. Okay, let's create some of them. There you go. Improved processor, raw improved. So if we'll just say we'll have a stack of them. Right, let's just do that. Boop, boop. There you go. Nice grid. Now you can go with a grid, but for me, if you've already got plenty of resources in the first place, getting a crafting grid isn't going to take much time. Essentially, it's just going to allow you to see all your items, but allow you to craft within that environment too, which makes life a lot easier, you see. because then you won't need to end up having to use a standard crafting grid anymore. Right, let's see. Ah, excellent. Right, so what we want to do is make sure that this is connected to the cabling, alright? Donk. There you go. Now, as you see, we have everything that's actually stored on these discs, which is obviously nothing at the moment, and obviously a crafting box as well. On the left hand side here, you've got obviously redstone, don't really need to worry about that. Display normal, no craftables, only craftables. Ascending, descending, quantity name, how you want to sort it. I always prefer the quantity. Search box, normal, also selected. JI synchronize is quite nice as well, because obviously it's synchronized with this stuff. So if you're trying to look for something or a recipe, it'll come up automatically. And obviously the size. I prefer to have large. Right. And the nice thing is about it is you can literally drag and drop it. Bump, bump. Or shift and click, which is always good. As you can see. There you go. And now, as you can see, on the top left hand side here, it's gone orange because it's using some of the actual disk space in this one. It looks like we're already at 27% full. It's probably all those cobblestones. And as I said, because we've decided to go with the crafting grid, we can then craft anything we want. And the nice thing about it as well, we can obviously move away, do our own thing, have a look around. Oh, that's a lovely ceiling, and go back, and it will still be there. So if you're missing a particular item for an object you want to build, you can leave it in there, go grab it, and then put it in there. But obviously, hopefully, you would have moved all the stuff into your crafting grid in the first place. You see, now we've got a nice furnace. Simple as. Bump. Very nice, right, guys? And I think for the moment, I think it was going to be a 3-part. We'll have the auto crafting. Then we'll also have like inputs and outputs, and I think that'll be on the next episode. Purely because I don't want you guys to be filled up with too much information at the moment. There's a lot to kind of get through, and obviously you've got interfaces and relays. I think the next episode we'll talk about the exporters and importers. Well, actually, you know what? No, we won't. What we'll do is we'll kind of go back to my base and we'll quickly show you how I've got it set up. Let's not leave it at this, eh? Right. I think obviously on a previous episode when I was doing a showcase, obviously I showed my production area. But as you can see, I have a lot of disk drives, and these ones are all full, as I mentioned before. Right. And down here's my controller. As you can see, we've got things going off all over the place. Now, as I mentioned in a previous episode, you can obviously export things straight out of your refined storage. So the purpose for that is essentially to automate I don't know, furnacing resources, or say iron ore. So at the moment we have these ender chests, and obviously in my previous episode I mentioned environmental craft and how you can obviously get items from, I think it was the resource miner, and essentially you put a resource an ender chest right next to the resource miner, and it's essentially going into one of these. As you see, there's bits and pieces coming in. But then you think, well, okay, won't I have to manually take it out and then constantly put it into the refined storage? Well, no, not at all. Purely because you have these things called an importer. And it's literally what it says on the box. It imports from whatever it's connected to items into your network. So at the moment, I think I've probably got 5 of them around, because I got so many items coming in from different areas. I think I've got 2 sets of chests as well to try and stop it from being filled up. And the nice thing about this, you can obviously have stack upgrades as well. So I've obviously put loads, basically because if you don't have a stack upgrade, it will slowly increase over time. It won't be able to pull all the items out of there and put it into your network. And the other thing is, you can obviously say on type, like items, fluids, or items, blacklist items as well. And if whether or not to use damaged items. So like say if you're importing weapons as an example, you might have a slightly damaged sword, and you want it to come in or not, as the case might be. Now obviously we've got importers, but if there's if it comes in one way or goes out one way, surely you have it the opposite direction. And here we have some exporters. Literally what it says on the can. they export items into other objects. Now, you're probably thinking, why would I need to do that? Well, as I mentioned before, it's about automation. If this is the case where you don't want to have to constantly move items from an ender chest into your network, you don't want to have to constantly move ores from your refined storage into, say, a pulverizer or a furnace, right? So essentially what you've got here, maybe this will be a better one, is essentially an exporter exporting all the ores into a pulverizer. As you can see, this is doing it there. And as I mentioned or showed in a previous episode about thermal expansion, essentially it's pushing that over into this item, which is obviously a furnace. So obviously it's like, well, okay, it's finishing doing its thing. Now what? We're going to have to go in and take it out. Well, as shown over there with the ender chest, you can use an importer to suck it back out and then put it right back in the network. So essentially you've got a complete automated process of processing your ores now, all thanks to refined storage. As I said, it's a very, very powerful mod, and unfortunately it is a little bit end game, mid to end game, but once you've got it, it will help you so much. And as mentioned in regarding the importer over there, you can decide on which items you want to export, because obviously you don't want every item to be exported into the pulverizer. So at the moment I've got all the main ores that I want: gold, nickel, tin, lead, chromium ore, which we will go on to during another episode of Draconic Evolution, silver ore and copper ore. Right, that's great. But then you're thinking, well, okay, what if your resource miner has diamonds or emeralds or some other block where obviously burst it into items which will just lie on the floor? It can't obviously work there. Well, that's exactly what we're doing here. So you have a constructor and a destructor. So much the same way you have essentially an importer, well, a destructor and a constructor, which would be the exporter. The constructor, as you see, I've picked diamond here, essentially places any diamonds within the network, refined storage network, on here. And what destructor will do will essentially would act like if you're mining it. It breaks it, destructs it, or destroys it even. Not destructs it. But the nice thing about that as well, you can upgrade it as well. So I'll upgrade it to Fortune 3, so you're getting obviously maybe triple the amount. But it also automatically sucks it back into the network, so you don't have to worry about another item being needed to suck up the items. It is very, very good. And now the nice thing about refined storage, it does work on many different other mods as well, including obviously Draconic Evolution, RF Tools, all these other items, as well as I think can't remember off the top of my head. Oh yeah, Chisel as well. So at the moment obviously it's exporting Prismarine and Chisel, so it automatically auto chisels these bricks for me. It's a very, very, very good mod, you see. We've got a crafter here, so if you're wanting to manufacture items, you can say, I don't know, I guess this is on your auto crafting list for the next episode. No, I won't go on to that, because that's another area. As you can see, I've probably dedicated maybe 2/5 of this area to auto crafting, and so it's going to take a lot longer to actually talk about. But what we can do is we'll go back to the old training center, as it were. We'll just go over a few more bits and pieces. All right, guys. As I mentioned before, there is a lot to go through on this, but I think if obviously once you get your head around refined storage, it's a very, very powerful and very good mod to use if you have it in your mod pack. As I mentioned, this is a DireWolf20 Modpack, and apart from obviously the first world, which I did a quick showcase for, I can't remember a time where refined storage hasn't been used. As I mentioned in another episode as well, my mates in his other base, he's using a very similar mod, which is applied energistics. But for me, that applied energistics just seems overly complicated for the sake of being complicated. But it does look pretty cool. But the nice thing about refined storage, like I said, is mid to late game thing mod, and it will help you kind of start collating a lot of your items, because as I said, you know, it just puts it all in one go for you in one place, as opposed to having to have multiple chests or multiple diamond chests or multiple this, that, the other. It can be very frustrating. And as you saw in my base, you can actually have multiple disk drives as well. As long as you've got it attached to a cable, it all is controlled by one controller. It'll be on one network. Well, anyway, guys, if you have any questions or if I've missed anything, obviously leave a comment below. If you can do, subscribe if you like this video. Obviously like it, and I shall see you again very soon for another exciting episode on this Minecraft DireWolf20 world. Anyway, have a great day, guys. Bye.